Good evening and welcome. My name is Lesego Mokonane. This is ANN7 Prime. Embattled and suspended DA leader Helen Zille may have more trouble coming her way. ANC MPL Cameron Dugmore has laid a complaint with the public protector. Zille faces charges of putting pressure on officials to kickstart her son Paul Marie's business. Former teachers Mary and Chris Mills are partners in Paper Video, which offers video lessons in science subjects. It was started in June 2014 and 3 months later it's said to have approached the Western Cape government to run holiday workshops for matrics. Reports say that the provincial government allegedly rushed to ensure that Marie and Mills had the use of 150 new tablets in their business. Zille insists that nothing untoward happened, saying the tablets were issued to Marie in his capacity as a teacher at the Centre of Science and Technology in Khayelitsha. And here is the email cited as proof of pressure from Zille. Arida Freitas, Chief Director at the Centre for Innovative, also part of Zille's department, wrote to Brent Gerber, Director General in the Premier's office, saying the request for information for the tablets was issued with the shortest advertising time frame possible. RFI will be evaluated as a matter of urgency. This is a top priority for Western Cape Education Department and CEI. And now Cameron Dugmore, ANC MPL, joins us on the phone line. A very warm welcome to you and thank you so much for your time. What are the charges that you want Helen Zille to be investigated for?
Well, in this week, I, acting on behalf of the ANC in the Western Cape, laid this particular charge against Helen Zille. There were also a number of other charges which I'm sure will emerge in due course. But in particular, we believe that she has breached the code of ethics which guides all provincial ministers, as they call him in the Western Cape, or members of the Executive Council, and she as the Premier is one of them, in the sense that she has not followed the normal procurement process that would result. If, for instance, myself or any other person has an idea for maths education, science education, they would approach whichever government office. They would then be referred to the MEC for Education, and there would have to be a pilot drawn up in the way that an unsolicited bid gets drawn up. But in this particular case, it's very clear that we have nepotism, because no other person who has a particular proposal in regard to maths or science education would have been treated in this way by the Premier or by the provincial government. So the charge that we have asked the Public Protector to investigate is around a breach of ethics, where someone who's the first citizen of the Western Cape is supposed to make sure that every entrepreneur, every aspirant educator with a good idea is treated fairly and equally. And clearly, in this particular case, as the email correspondence shows and other evidence which has been provided to the ANC, it's very, very clear that this was special treatment, this was a breach of the code of ethics, and this was unfair to others who might, and we know do have education solutions for the learners of the Western Cape. And it's actually not true to say that the son of the Premier was simply a teacher. This was a company, Paper Video, which had been formed 3 months earlier, and this company provides some of its services for free, but the majority of the videos are not for free. So it is actually an enterprise. In fact, the reality is, as the records or the company records will show, that this company only formally registered in 2015, but there was a report produced by this company which says in black and white that the purpose of this was to create and build the profile of Paper Video. And I think it's disingenuous and dishonest for the Premier and her senior officials to imply that there was no favoritism and no nepotism in this regard. It's obvious.
And are you aware of a similar urgency shown for any other project by Western Cape government?
Absolutely not. The Western Cape government, as all other provincial governments, have something called an annual performance plan. There are projects and proposals in those annual performance plans which are budgeted and costed. The reality is this particular intervention over the September holidays for which the 150 tablets were urgently procured, was not in any annual performance plan of the Department of the Premier or the Western Cape Education Department. They are trying to say there's a broad approach for the after-school game changer, but the reality is that many junior officials felt abused by the way this issue was fast-tracked and this issue was pushed to the exclusion of others who would have wanted to put in a proposal to run such a pilot. So I think what we have here is spinning, and I think this is really, in fact, the tragedy about Helen Zille's leadership. You take the issue of the tweets. Clearly she offended millions of South Africans, but she has refused to actually acknowledge openly and honestly that she did something wrong. She's called refugees. She's referred to people coming to our province as refugees.
The Western Cape Premier says there is no scandal, as her son did not earn a single cent from the project. What's your response around this?
That's also being disingenuous. The reality is Paper Video got access to 150 government tablets where they alone could install their software on these tablets and run 3 workshops which would then give them profile. That, of course, is an unfair advantage.
And have you received a response from the Public Protector as yet?
When we met with the representatives of the Public Protector in this previous week, they indicated to us that they would revert. But clearly, as you know, there are procedures where the complaint is laid and then there has to be a consideration. But what's very clear is that there's an obligation on the Public Protector to investigate any breaches of the Executive Code of Ethics. There's actually a law in that regard. And it's very clear that to us, the Public Protector will not have an option but to investigate this. And since the information has broken loose, many people are coming forward with additional information which points to irregular conduct, which amounts to a breach of the Code of Ethics by the Premier.
Thank you very much for that. That was ANC MPL Cameron Dugmore just giving us more details. He has laid a complaint with the Public Protector accusing the Western Cape Premier of nepotism. Zille faces charges of putting pressure on officials to kickstart her son Paul Marie's business.